more than 4,000 years ago, in the cities of ancient Sumer, people believed the visible world was only one part of existence. The house, the street, the temple, and the field belonged to humanity. But beyond them stood another realm, a place inhabited by forces that could enter through darkness, sickness, dreams, and death. The Sumerians built temples to communicate with their gods. They placed protective figures beneath floors. They recited rituals over doorways. They buried sacred objects inside walls. They believed a home could be entered by more than thieves, and that certain boundaries had to be watched. According to a modern interpretation linked to this ancient Sumerian worldview, one small creature was placed among humans for a specific purpose. It was sent to watch the boundary. That creature was the cat. The account does not describe the cat as a pet. It does not present it as decoration, entertainment, or even companionship. It describes a silent guardian whose senses reach beyond the limits of the human body. Its assignment was simple: watch what humans cannot see, detect what humans cannot hear, stand between the household and whatever approaches it from the darkness. And once the cat accepted that position, it never abandoned it. To understand why this idea carries such power, we must return to the earliest cities of southern Mesopotamia: Uruk, Ur, Eridu, Lagash, and Nippur rose from a landscape of rivers, marshes, mud brick walls, and open desert. These were among the first places where thousands of people lived together, under organized systems of government, religion, labor, and law. The Sumerians recorded their world on clay. They wrote down deliveries of grain, ownership of land, temple offerings, medical treatments, legal disputes, royal victories, prayers, omens, and descriptions of the unseen forces surrounding human life. To them, a building was never merely a building. Every temple had a sacred foundation. Every doorway marked a transition. Every threshold separated one condition from another. Outside became inside. Public became private. Danger became safety. But a boundary could also become a point of entry. This explains why ancient Mesopotamians placed protective objects beneath thresholds and inside walls. Small figures were positioned where ordinary eyes would never see them. Their purpose was not to impress visitors. Their purpose was to remain hidden and continue guarding the structure. Protection did not need to be visible to be effective. The cat fit naturally into that system. It moved through the house without disturbing it. It patrolled at night. It stopped at doors. It examined unfamiliar objects. It reacted to movements too small for humans to notice. It could remain completely still for long periods, then suddenly turn toward a dark corner as though something had entered the room. To an ancient observer, this was not meaningless behavior. It was evidence of perception. The cat could see into darkness. Its eyes gathered light that human eyes could not use. When a flame or moonbeam struck them, they appeared to shine from within. The cat could cross a room without making a sound. It could hear movement behind a wall. It could detect an approaching animal before anyone else knew it was there. The creature seemed designed for the hours when human awareness became weakest. That detail was essential. Sleep held great significance in the ancient world. Dreams could carry warnings, divine messages, or visions of events yet to come. But sleep also left a person vulnerable. The body remained inside the house, while the mind entered a place beyond ordinary control. And during those hours, the cat stayed awake. Even when its eyes were closed, its ears continued moving. Its breathing remained calm, but its senses never fully withdrew. A slight sound could bring it instantly to attention. This created the first purpose assigned to the cat, the guarding of sleep. When a cat lay beside a person, settled at the foot of a bed, or positioned itself near the bedroom door, it formed a living barrier around the sleeper. Its warmth kept it close to the body. Its hearing covered the darkness. Its eyes opened at the smallest disturbance. The human slept. The cat remained on duty. This ancient interpretation explains why cats often choose the same positions night after night. They do not settle randomly. They select locations from which they can observe the room, the door, the hallway, or the person beneath their protection. Some lie directly against the chest. Some remain near the feet. Others sit in the doorway and face outward. The position changes, but the function remains the same. The cat places itself between the sleeper and the unknown. Its second purpose concerns the threshold. Watch a cat inside a house, and eventually it will sit beside a doorway. It may remain there without asking to leave. It may stare into the next room without entering. It may position its body on the exact line separating one space from another. This behavior appears ordinary until it is repeated. Ancient people understood thresholds as powerful locations. Weddings, funerals, arrivals, departures, and religious processions all involved crossing from one state into another. The doorway represented change. The cat became the watcher of that change. Nothing entered without being noticed. A guest arriving at the home was inspected. A package placed on the floor was examined. A sound beyond the door brought the cat to attention. Even familiar people were checked when they returned, carrying unfamiliar scents. The cat did not need permission. Inspection was part of its nature. This leads to its third function, the testing of unfamiliar things. Bring a new object into a house, and the cat will often approach slowly. It smells the surface. It circles the object. It touches it with one paw. It may rub its face against it, sit beside it, or refuse to enter the room. Modern people call this curiosity. The older interpretation gives it a deeper meaning. The cat is deciding whether the object belongs. Every person and object entering a home changes the environment. New smells arrive, new sounds appear. The established pattern is disturbed. The cat immediately detects that disruption. If the object is accepted, the cat may touch it with its face and body. If it is rejected, the cat may hiss, retreat, or continue watching it from a distance. This process resembles an inspection followed by a verdict. Safe, unsafe, accepted, rejected. The cat performs the same ritual with strangers. It may walk directly toward one visitor while avoiding another. It may sit beside someone it has never met, yet remain suspicious of a person who has entered many times. Humans judge by words, clothing, and appearance. The cat judges by movement, tone, scent, tension, and signals humans overlook. Ancient households learned to pay attention. A person welcomed by the cat entered under favorable conditions. A person who caused the animal to retreat had brought unease into the house. The cat was not merely reacting to the visitor, it was revealing the visitor. Its fourth function was to seal the territory. Cats repeatedly rub their cheeks, foreheads, and bodies against doors, walls, furniture, and people. This leaves behind a scent signature. The marks are invisible, but to the cat, they define the boundaries of a familiar world. A newly entered house is unknown territory. Over time, the cat moves through it and creates a complete map. Every corner is examined, every room is entered, every doorway is marked. The house becomes part of the cat's domain. Within the ancient interpretation, this marking carried protective power. The cat was not simply claiming ownership, it was establishing an invisible barrier around everything under its care. This is why cats often repeat the process. The mark must be renewed. A doorway crossed by many strangers receives attention. Furniture moved to a new position is investigated again. A person returning from an unfamiliar place may be rubbed against until the cat's scent has been restored. The household is being brought back into order. The cat marks the people because the people belong inside the protected space. It marks the doors because the doors must remain controlled. It marks the corners because corners are where two boundaries meet. And after the work is complete, the cat settles down as though balance has been restored. Then comes the behavior that has disturbed human beings for thousands of years. The cat stares at something that is not there. Nearly every cat owner has witnessed it. The animal suddenly raises its head and fixes its eyes on an empty hallway, a ceiling, a staircase, or a dark corner. Its gaze becomes intense. The ears turn forward, the body stops moving. Sometimes the cat follows the unseen point across the room. Sometimes it watches one location for several minutes. Occasionally, its fur rises, its tail expands, its back arches, and the calm household animal becomes a defensive creature confronting something no human can identify. Modern explanations point to hearing and vision. Cats detect high frequencies, faint vibrations, small insects, distant movements, and sounds inside walls. That explains many incidents. But the ancient interpretation focuses on a different question. Why does the cat sometimes react as though the unseen presence is reacting back? The body does not show casual interest. It shows confrontation. The cat turns sideways to appear larger. Its ears flatten. Its pupils widen. A deep sound forms in its throat. The animal is not searching. It has already found something. This was the fifth function, holding the gaze. The cat's eyes remained fixed because observation itself created a barrier. Whatever had approached the household had been noticed. It could no longer move unseen. The cat did not need to attack. It only needed to watch. That idea changes the meaning of one of the strangest scenes inside a home. The cat, staring into darkness, is not confused. It is identifying the exact point where the boundary has been disturbed. Its stillness is not hesitation. It is control. The sixth function began when stillness ended. Cats sometimes race through a house without an obvious reason, especially late at night. They charge down hallways, turn sharply, leap onto furniture, and pursue something that appears to exist only for them. To humans, the behavior looks chaotic. To the ancient observer, it had a purpose. Silence allowed unseen influences to gather. Sudden movement broke that silence. The cat crossed the rooms rapidly, forcing whatever had entered to retreat. Every leap disrupted the space. Every turn redirected the pursuit. Every impact announced that the house was occupied and defended. The cat's nighttime running was not meaningless energy. It was a patrol transforming into a chase. The creature moved through the same areas it had previously inspected and marked. It followed routes through doors, hallways, stairs, and corners. It covered the exact boundary of its territory. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the movement stopped. The cat sat down. It cleaned itself. The disturbance was over. But one final action remained. The seventh function was carried inside the cat's throat. The purr is one of the most recognizable sounds in the natural world. It is gentle, rhythmic, and deeply calming. Humans feel it not only through the ears, but through physical vibration when the animal rests against the body. Cats purr when they are comfortable, but they can also purr during pain, fear, injury, and recovery. The sound is not limited to happiness. It appears whenever the cat is restoring calm. The ancient interpretation described the purr as the final seal. After the territory had been inspected, the doorway watched, the disturbance located, and the threat driven away. The vibration returned the space to balance. The cat often performed this final act against a person. It climbed onto the chest or stomach. It pressed its paws rhythmically into the body. Then the vibration began. Breathing slowed, muscles relaxed, fear weakened. Sleep returned. The cat had completed its work. This interpretation reached its most powerful expression in ancient Egypt. Egyptians lived thousands of miles from nothing. Their civilization stood within the same connected world of rivers, trade routes, temples, farming settlements, and stored grain that shaped the ancient Near East. And in Egypt, the cat became sacred. The goddess Bastet carried feline form and protected the household, women, children, fertility, and domestic peace. Her presence combined gentleness with power. She could nurture life, but she could also defend it. That balance was perfectly represented by the cat. A cat could lie peacefully beside a child, then kill a snake or rodent entering the home. It could appear soft and harmless while carrying the speed and precision of a predator. Egyptians placed feline images in their homes. They created statues and amulets. They mummified cats and carried offerings to centers associated with Bastet. This reverence was not created by usefulness alone. Many animals were useful. Cattle provided food and labor. Donkeys transported goods. Birds supplied meat and eggs. Dogs hunted and guarded. But the cat occupied a different position. It guarded the interior. It moved through the private rooms, remained close to women, children, food, and sleep. It protected the household at the level where people were most vulnerable. To the Egyptians, the cat did not simply remove pests. It preserved order inside the home, and order was sacred. This role continued as cats moved through the ancient world. They traveled aboard ships where their hunting protected grain and supplies. They entered ports, farms, palaces, temples, and ordinary homes. Where humans settled, cats appeared. Where food was stored, cats remained. Where darkness concealed movement, cats watched. Their expansion followed civilization so closely that it almost looked planned. They crossed seas without building ships. They entered kingdoms without raising armies. They occupied homes without being conquered. Humans believed they had domesticated the cat, but the relationship never resembled complete domestication. Cats retained their independence. They hunted without instruction. They reproduced without human control. They came and went according to their own decisions. Dogs were trained for commands. Horses were controlled by reins. Cattle were confined behind fences. The cat accepted none of these arrangements completely. It entered human society while preserving the right to remain itself. That independence becomes understandable when the cat is viewed not as property, but as a guardian fulfilling an assignment. It accepts food and shelter, but it chooses where to sit. It allows affection, but only when it decides. It lives inside the household, yet constantly observes the household from a slight distance. The cat participates without surrendering authority. This is why its gaze often feels different from that of other animals. A dog looks toward a person for direction. A cat looks as though it is evaluating the person. It does not appear to ask what should happen next. It appears to know. Later, cultures gradually forgot the protective meaning of feline behavior. The silent animal that watched the night became associated with the night itself. Its reflective eyes, independence, and connection to private domestic spaces created fear. In parts of medieval Europe, the cat's reputation was inverted. The watcher became suspicious. The guardian became an accomplice of darkness. The creature that detected unseen danger was accused of carrying it. Yet even during periods of persecution, cats continued their ancient role. They remained in barns, ships, workshops, alleys, and homes. Human suspicion did not remove the instincts that had placed them beside civilization. They still hunted. They still patrolled. They still marked the boundaries. They still watched the sleeping. The assignment survived even when its meaning was lost. Today, a cat lives inside millions of homes across the world. The temples are gone. The ancient prayers have fallen silent. The names of countless gods have disappeared. The first cities stand in ruins beneath desert sand. But the behavior remains unchanged. A modern apartment contains electric lights, glass windows, televisions, wireless signals, and locked doors. Yet the cat moves through it exactly as its ancestors moved through houses built from mud brick. It examines every room. It marks every corner. It watches every doorway. It inspects every visitor. It rests beside the sleeping. It runs through the silence. It stares at places human eyes declare empty. And when calm has returned, it produces the low vibration that has comforted people since before recorded history. Nothing taught the modern cat to do this. No human training preserved the ritual. The sequence remained inside the animal. That is the central mystery. Civilizations forget. Instinct does not. The people who first recognized the cat's purpose disappeared thousands of years ago. Their cities collapsed. Their languages ceased to be spoken. Their tablets broke and vanished beneath the earth. The cat continued. It did not need humanity to remember the agreement. It carried the agreement within its body. This explains why cats behave as though they belong to two worlds. One is the visible world of food, warmth, touch, and physical shelter. The other is a world of faint sounds, hidden movement, invisible scent, darkness, vibration, and signals beyond human perception. The cat stands between them. Its body rests beside us. Its senses remain somewhere farther away. Perhaps this is why people feel safer when a cat chooses to sleep near them. The warmth alone does not explain it. The animal creates the feeling that someone is still awake, even when the entire house has gone silent. The cat hears what approaches. It notices what changes. It opens its eyes before the danger has a name, and it never needs to be ordered to begin. The most important part of the ancient interpretation is not that cats once performed this work. It is that they never stopped. The cat beside your door is repeating the ancient watch. The cat examining a new object is testing what has entered its territory. The cat rubbing against your legs is restoring its mark. The cat racing through the hallway in the middle of the night is patrolling the boundary. The cat staring at an empty corner has noticed something before you have. And the cat purring against your chest is returning the body and the room to Stillness. Humanity may have forgotten why the cat entered our homes. The cat has not. Tonight, when the lights are off and the rooms become quiet, watch where your cat chooses to sit. Notice whether it faces you or the doorway. Watch its ears when the house appears completely silent. Follow its eyes when they suddenly turn toward a dark corner. And if it rises without warning and walks into another room, do not assume it is wandering without purpose. It may be continuing an assignment older than every nation alive today, an assignment carried from the first temples to the modern home, to watch the threshold, to guard the sleeping, to detect what remains hidden, to stand between humanity and whatever moves beyond the reach of human senses. The ancient cities are gone, the doors are still here, and the cats are still watching.